Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, star Sophie Sierra's mom, Claire Cheshire, was arrested. And here's where their relationship stands after what happened. Sophie is a 25-year-old social media influencer from London. Sophie met the 33-year-old aspiring actor and model Rob on Instagram when she came across his profile on a page about mixed-race men. Sophie approached Rob by following him. The rest, as they say, is 90 Day Fiancé history. However, Sophie and Rob's romance did not last. Sophie and Rob got married in 2022. Sadly, they separated by May 2023 when she left his new house in Austin. Rob had cheated on Sophie online before she moved to the US, and Sophie could never get over the betrayal. Rob and Sophie tried to make things work and even attended couples therapy on 90 Day, the last resort season 2. However, it appears they decided to stay friends. While Sophie dealt with Rob's infidelity, her mom was always in her ear, asking her to leave him. Claire planted the seed of doubt in Sophie's mind and wanted them to break up. Sophie has an interesting backstory that she revealed in her debut 90 Day Fiancé episode. Sophie is of mixed race. Her mom is British and her father is Jamaican. Sophie grew up in Spain, where she struggled to fit in. Sophie said that she had a very wealthy grandfather, but she could never tell where his money came from. However, Sophie got to go to a private school and go on vacations to the fanciest of places. Sophie had no siblings, so she had been close to her mom since she was little. Sophie moved to England by herself when she was around 16 years old. Sophie's mom ended up moving there too, even though she hated England. When Sophie moved to Mexico next, Claire stayed with her the whole time she was in Mexico. Sophie wondered if her mom would move to America as well, since she was going there on a K-1 visa to marry Rob. However, Sophie knew that Rob didn't like that. They weren't the biggest fans of each other, but Sophie wished for them to get along, since they were going to be family at the end of the day. Claire is the one who coined the name Rob the Knob for Rob on 90 Day Fiancé Season 10. Claire thought Rob was stupid, grumpy, and the epitome of a knob. Claire knew Sophie was moving into a situation that wasn't ideal, but the latter was just excited to see Rob. She was going to think of the bad stuff. When she got to the US, Sophie used the saying, "Talk is cheap, money buys houses," for Rob. Sophie asked Claire to wait until they were married to scare Rob off. She didn't want anything to mess up her relationship with Rob. Sophie was in for a surprise when Claire moved to the US. Rob and Claire got into an argument the first time they met. Claire had joked about knocking Rob's mom to the ground, which Rob thought was aggressive. Claire was not impressed by Rob's man cave. Rob started an argument with Sophie and Claire after her reaction and accused them of not understanding where he came from, since they'd never been at the bottom like him. When Sophie and Rob separated after moving to Austin, Claire was in the States as she'd found a boyfriend in Texas. In 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Season 8, Claire's disdain for Rob was ever apparent as the mom and daughter duo sat down with Rob, and Claire couldn't have a civil conversation with Rob. Claire chastised Rob and wouldn't let him talk. When he was finally able to say something, Claire didn't give Rob's responses the time of day. Claire has her mind made up about Rob, and at this point, there is no changing her mind about it. Claire did try to be fake nice when she and Sophie went to Rob and Sophie's apartment to tell him Sophie was moving out again. They had an awkward living room sit-down after Sophie started collecting her things. Rob looked extremely depressed about the situation, and Claire didn't dig into him, but it was clear she was happy Sophie was leaving the house. Claire was still living in Mexico, but she came to Texas often to see her boyfriend John, and of course, Sophie. Claire had her. Sophie left Rob's apartment within less than a year of being married. While Sophie was happy that her mom had finally found a good boyfriend after a string of bad experiences with men, she was upset that her own relationship was a mess. Sophie used the opportunity to discuss the real reason she was finding it difficult to get rid of Rob. Sophie didn't have a stable childhood while growing up. Sophie's mom, Claire, struggled with substance abuse. Claire was not able to raise Sophie the way she should have. Sophie had to take care of her mom. She ended up raising herself. Sophie came across as a prime example of parentification. She took up the role of a parent while Claire dealt with drug addiction. Sophie said it was one of the reasons she wanted her relationship with Rob to work despite him being a cheater, since she wanted a family that was perfect for once. Unfortunately for Sophie, Rob was not the person she was going to have her dream family with. Sophie's mom shared videos of Rob allegedly being abusive towards her daughter on her IG stories via Mary Pants. One clip was Rob threatening to smash Sophie's phone and wanting her to pay for it even though Sophie was still on the K-1 visa at the time and was unable to legally work in the US. Claire accused Rob of making Sophie cry. She said she was sick of being accused of being a controlling mother. Claire claimed he was giving Sophie money to buy essentials like toothpaste. While Sophie didn't mention her mom's name directly while addressing the videos, she told fans it wasn't Rob who was trying to harm her, it was her mom. Sophie accused Claire of posting the videos to blackmail her and not to protect her. She said the videos were private and not meant for others to see. Sophie admitted she was disgusted by Claire's actions. She said Claire was not going to stop until she'd ruined her life and that it was insane because Claire was a family member. According to Starcasm, Claire was arrested on May 10, 2024, in Williamson County, Texas, for an incident that occurred the day before. Claire was being held on a $5,000 bond. She was arrested for terroristic threat of a family/household member. It appears there were weeks of escalating tension between Claire, Sophie, and Sophie's friend Callan, known as Kay on the show, who were living together for 3 months. Claire was kicked out of the apartment on April 22, 2024, but the problems persisted partly because of Claire's financial issues. Claire supposedly kept asking Sophie for money. Claire was allegedly threatening Sophie with hurting herself if she didn't send her the money. Sophie had already sent her $3,000 since Claire moved out. Sophie also claimed Claire was sending her death threats. Rob's best friend, Tori, had confirmed the same while sharing screenshots of the texts exchanged between Claire and Sophie via Kiki and Kivitz. Claire was staying just 4 minutes away from Sophie in a hotel, but Claire's failure to communicate with Sophie led the police to track her down and serve the warrant. Claire had allegedly attempted to harm herself before, and Sophie wasn't able to contact her. Claire spent 6 days in jail before the charges against her were dismissed. Claire won't be able to come near Sophie if she manages to post the $5,000 bond. Claire shared an Instagram update after her release via Kiki and Kivitz. She said she'd gotten her hair done and was grateful she could put her head on a pillow again, as she knew she'd done nothing wrong. Claire said that one thing that would never change is how much she loves her 90-day fiancé. Happily ever after, star daughter Sophie.